with the flyers that you received, there was a page attached that had preferences, your area of focus, the Urantia Committee focuses. Can you put that up, Phil, for everyone to see?
Yes, just a minute. Well, Patrick, let's see. Are you still sharing? No, I guess.
There we go.
There we go.
Now, there's some exciting areas of endeavor that we can be doing coming up. And I'd like to invite each of you to think of the things that you would like to accomplish while you're here on this earth for the Urantia movement. And I suggest that you can team up with those of us on the board and the committees of UBLA to team up and get those things actually accomplished and bring in resources, etc. So I would invite you to pick an area of focus that most interests you or that you would like to make a difference and check that off. And if you would put your reactions into the chat, put your contact information and the area that you would like to go to work in, and we will craft the project together with you within the society. And we have other resources from the fellowship we can bring in to help with this. It could be very exciting doing a team effort on things that are of interest to you. Was that something that everyone could hear me say?
Yes.
Was that yes?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yes,
Everybody
we can all
heard
hear
that.
you.
Great. So I invite you to that. And we're going to have an exciting talk today. I've experienced the talk with Patrick Yesh myself during one of the 24-hour Urantiathon presentations.
Are you going to have a reading first?
He gave. It was late one night, and I was tuning in to hear what I could of all these great presentations. Each person had an hour to present, and they were from all over the world. It was just stunning. And then here comes Patrick Yesh with his presentation on the soul. And this was so much fun. It involved drawing. And I am a numbers person and I do not draw, not the artist at all. But that man had me drawing my soul in, no time at all. I couldn't believe how skillful he was in guiding us to our new best friend, our emerging soul.
Well, before we get
Phil's
into
trying to say
that,
something.
can you hear me, Diane? Before we get into that, we should have a reading, no? Didn't you say somebody was going to give us a reading?
It's Ron and Wayne are standing by.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, we picked a couple of readings, one from paper 111, The Adjuster and the Soul, and one from our recent studies of paper 156. And goes like this. The material mind of mortal man is the cosmic loom that carries the Morontia fabrics on which the indwelling thought adjuster threads the spirit patterns of a universe character of enduring values and divine meaning, a survival soul of ultimate destiny, an unending career, a potential finality. The human personality is identified with mind and spirit held together in functional relationship by life in a material body. This functioning relationship of such mind and spirit does not result in some combination of the qualities or attributes of mind and spirit, but rather in an entirely new, original, and unique universe value of potentially eternal endurance, the soul. There are three and not two factors in the evolutionary creation of such an immortal soul. These three antecedents of the Morontia human soul are, number one, the human mind and all cosmic influence antecedent thereto and impinging thereon. Number two, the divine spirit indwelling this human mind and all potentials inherent in such a fragment of absolute spirituality, together with all associated spiritual influences and factors in human life. Number 3, the relationship between material mind and divine spirit, which connotes a value and carries a meaning not found in either of the contributing factors to such an association. The reality of this unique relationship is neither material nor spiritual, but morontial. It is the soul. The midway creatures have long denominated this evolving soul of man, the mid-mind, in contradistinction to the lower or material mind and the higher or cosmic mind. This mid-mind is really a Morontia phenomenon, since it exists in the realm between the material and the spiritual. The potential of such a Morontia evolution is inherent in the two universal urges of mind: the impulse of the finite mind of the creature to know God and attain the divinity of the Creator, and the impulse of the infinite mind of the Creator to know man and attain the experience of the creature. This supernal transaction of evolving the immortal soul is made possible because the mortal mind is first personal and second is in contact with superanimal realities. It possesses a supermaterial endowment of cosmic ministry, which ensures the evolution of a moral nature capable of making moral decisions, thereby effecting a bona fide creative contact with the associated spiritual ministries and with the indwelling thought adjuster. The inevitable result of such a contactual spiritualization of the human mind is the gradual birth of a soul, the joint offspring of an adjutant mind dominated by a human will that craves to know God, working in liaison with the spiritual forces of the universe, which are under the over-control of an actual fragment of the very God of all creation, the mystery monitor. And thus does the material and mortal reality of the self transcend the temporal limitations of the physical life machine and attain a new expression and a new identification in the evolving vehicle for selfhood continuity, the Morontia and immortal soul. And this is recent from our recent studies, paper 156.5.8. Do not become discouraged by the discovery that you are human. Human nature may tend toward evil, but it is not inherently sinful. Be not downcast by your failure wholly to forget some of your regrettable experiences. The mistakes which you fail to forget in time will be forgotten in eternity. Lighten your burdens of soul by speedily acquiring a long-distance view of your destiny, a universe expansion of your career. Make not the mistake of estimating the soul's worth by the imperfections of the mind or by the appetites of the body. Judge not the soul, nor evaluate its destiny by the standard of a single unfortunate human episode. Your spiritual destiny is conditioned only by your spiritual longings and purposes.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks very much.
That was a little long, but thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ron.
All very necessary, I think.
All right,
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Huh?
Oh my gosh, I'm back.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you very well.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Okay.
you can? Good.
Well,
Are
that's
you,
the Cheryl
are
one
you hearing
crisis.
us through Cheryl's phone?
next time we need to practice this about 15 minutes early.
Well, it was the last minute switch to a different computer. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So I would like to have each of the committee members raise their hand and introduce themselves so that those who want to join that focus group can do so. Andrea, why don't you start?
Well, what am I the chair of?
You're the publicity.
Publicity, yes. Join with me. I need help. I need help in somebody writing up after every meeting that we have to give a little write-up so I can put it on the website for us. And my thought about this, Diane, was let's try and expedite this pretty quickly so that Patrick can get started, since we all had such a hard time off the starting gate.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Same here. So just say hi, each of you. About Phil?
Well, I guess I'm vice president and education chairperson. And so, yeah, anybody who wants to help me with
Well, creating programs.
creating the programs, and Diana's been doing a lot of that lately. So sign up and tell me on the chat down there.
Cheryl, how about you, real quick?
Okay, I'm secretary, and I can use a little help on some of the listings that we share with membership, and any help would be appreciated.
Yeah, Cheryl's a detective. She finds people that we've lost. She needs some help with detective work. Debbie? Debbie's muted.
No, I unmuted. So I'm Debbie Herman, in charge of membership. I try to keep track of everybody and where they're at. And I work alongside Cheryl's been very helpful. All the board members have been very helpful. And I help Andrea clean out our list, keep things up to date. And anybody who wants to jump in, I'm here to take your help. So that's what I do. Thank you.
And
I'm
Mark?
going back on mute because of my puppy.
Okay. Yes, I'm Mark Erickson. I am the treasurer. And I make the deposits and I pay the bills and everything in between.
And the audio video.
Not so much anymore. So anyway, I've pretty much got it covered, but if somebody wants to learn how to do it so that they can take over from me one of these days, that would be great.
Well, thank you all. And now, Phil, do you want to continue introducing our guest?
Yes, but before that, I want to raise a glass to Jesus, who is present here with us.
Here, here.
So Patrick Yesh is a professional portrait artist and teacher who does personal paintings illustrating the spiritual world of angels, soul portraits, and advanced spiritual concepts. His inspiration comes from the Morontia book, and his portrait patrons are worldwide, and his workshops are conducted internationally. Patrick paints inspirational portraits. He portrays the spiritual dimensions of your unique personality, a portrait of your soul. So with that, I'm going to give you our speaker and presenter today, Patrick Yesh.
Thank you,
Thank
Patrick.
you. Thank you. I can't hear your applause, but thank you. My adjuster, oh, good one. My adjuster and I are absolutely thrilled to be presenting this to you from our soul, from my soul. It's really our soul. I'd say that later on in the presentation, that we always say my soul, but in reality, it's our soul. Because with every moral and spiritual decision we make in our lives, he makes a copy of it and imprints it on our soul. So our soul's already here. It's 5 years younger than you are right now, right? Because your thought adjuster came 5 years, and I got a little grandson who's like 5 years and 6 months right now. So we're just watching him to see him light up with his adjuster. Let's see, and well, I'll just give you a little intro of what I'm going to do. I'm going to present a number of quotes that talk about how necessary it is to transfer our seed of identity to our soul from the book. And then we're going to create some affirmations from them. Because when you're reading the book, it's okay just to read for knowledge and put it into your head. I think Stuart said it, there's knowledge and then there's comprehension. Is when you put it into your heart and in your actual everyday living. It's different. It's totally different. And we're going to make that transfer today. My hope is that we'll all make that transfer of identity today in two ways. One is intellectually by meditating on it, and second is experientially by drawing any kind of symbol you want, right? Abstract symbol or representational, and I'll show samples of that. By making an affirmation, we personalize the information in the book. And I'm writing a book now and going through it, looking at where they are enticing us to make affirmations from what they're telling us to do. So then the other part of it will be I'll present samples of these kinds of drawings, some of my sacred art. So you'll see the kinds of things that Phil was talking about. And thanks, Ron, for that presentation, because it's a great lead in to the other quotes that I'll be using. I'm not using that quote, but that's a beautiful quote. The first one you did of the soul. And I'll show you some charts I made of the self, because the more I think about it, there's levels of self and that are just, there's so much to what they say is the self that it's mind blowing. So I've got 2 or 3 charts of that. And then we'll do our drawings. And when you do the drawings, just pay attention to any thought that may come up, because after you do the drawing, we'll spend another 5 or 10 minutes journaling what you think the meanings are of your artistic symbols. Okay, and then in the end, we'll have time to share. That's what I wanted to ask you. How much time do we have? I've got this a little under an hour. Is that?
We have until 5 o'clock, or anyone can stay longer if they wish.
What is?
That's an hour and 20 minutes.
Hour is good.
Oh, then that gives us time to share in the end, because we can share our drawings and you can put them up to the screen and talk about what you think the meanings are. And then I will help you to find deeper meanings, because many times when we journal what we see that we drew, we come up with metaphors or like poetic statements, but in what we want to do is get down to a behavioral language of what that actually means. But you'll see that in it. So let's take our little old human minds now and prepare ourselves to transcend this human reality. Okay, here we go. I want to share the screen. And there it is. Okay, this is, okay, you can see it, great.
Yes.
I just want to make sure, okay, there's something in the chat. What's in the chat? Anything I have to know?
Probably not.
Okay, so here's our soul connection through sacred art. And we're going to transfer our seed of identity to our evolving Morontia soul. It's just evolving right now, but it's here. You are your soul. And so the sooner you can make that transition, and Jesus even said to the apostles to make that transition to your soul right away. That was their main job, because that's who we really are. We're not only this human entity. We're also our soul. And our soul, by the way, has a dual mind. And the quote is that our soul has a dual mind, and the dual mind is recognized, the mind of the soul is recognized as the dual mind, human and divine, under the dominance of one will. Well, it isn't my human will, it's his will. It's my divine adjuster's will under the dominance of his will. But in clarifying that, it's the unity of the two. When you're operating from your soul mind, you're operating always in conversation with your adjuster. How do you say my conversations? Well, what do you see right now? How many times in life we're confronted with something that we don't understand? And that's why we're agantanters, by the way, because we're never going to understand what's confronting us. We're always going to have to work it out with our adjuster. And this lifetime, I think, is that practice, the beginning of that practice. And by transferring our identity to our soul, we're constantly working with that. Okay, so how do I get to my next slide?
It's just usual, as usual.
Oh, because I'm trying to get, well, when I made it bigger, I can't get to it.
Well, you can undo that if you need to.
Oh, here we are, right. Get to here, no. Oh, it keeps re-going. Oh, I see what's happening. Here we are.
Well, maybe you should just go back to the slide and
Where is that?
well, in other words, stop the presentation, but just use your,
Oh, stop the share. Okay. Then I'll share again
yeah.
and go with my other one. There it is. Okay. I think we can do this too. Yeah. Okay. That way I could go from one to the other. All right. Using my, there it is. Oh, here. Okay. Let's go up to this one. So why art? Why do I want to use art to make this transition? Well, here's a really neat quote that I always have on my art board anyway at home. And it's the high mission of any art is, by its illusions, to foreshadow a higher universe reality, to crystallize the emotions of time into the thoughts of eternity. Well, our soul is really our higher universe reality, isn't it? Now, here's one of the first quotes. Let me just move this over a little bit. There we go. Okay. During the life in the flesh, the evolving soul is enabled to reinforce the supermaterial decisions of the mortal mind. When you see a sentence like that, that's just a giveaway to make an affirmation from it. During the life in the flesh, that's now, my evolving soul is enabled to reinforce the supermaterial decisions of my mortal mind. The soul, being supermaterial, does not of itself function on the material level of human experience. These are, okay, neither can the sub-spiritual soul, without the collaboration of some spirit of deity, such as the adjuster, function above the Morontia level. That little phrase knocked me out all the time. They're saying that with my adjuster, I can function above the Morontia level during the life of the flesh. Wow, I haven't figured that out. I mean, I'm talking about that one with other people too. Let me get my everything. Okay, so then they go on to say, neither does the soul make final decisions until death or translation divorces it from material association of the mortal mind. Then they use the word accept. And whenever you see the word accept in any of their phrases, any of their passages, boy, pay attention, because they're telling you something. And I think the whole Morontia book is given to us to push us into the soul level at this earth level, at this experience of being, and stop identifying ourselves with our mortal human or body identity. So neither does the soul make final decisions until death or translation divorces it from association with material mind, except when and as this material mind delegates such authority freely and willingly to such a Morontia soul of associated function. During life, the personality power of decision choice is resident in the material mind circuits. That's a distinction we all have to make. My will is in my personality, and my personality is a piece of the creator of the universe, of universe's personality. Think about that for a second, because that's where my choice comes from, in my personality. And I'll show you in charts a little bit further of how the personality is the unifier of, guess what? Mind, material, and spirit. So my personality is super spiritual. It's unifying my thought adjuster. Think about that for a second. It's above the thought adjuster. It's unifying my thought adjuster, my material self, my spiritual self, and my mental self. During life, the mortal as terrestrial mortal growth proceeds, this self, with its priceless powers of choice, becomes increasingly identified with the emerging Morontia soul entity. Once I realize that I am my soul, once I transfer my identity to my soul, automatically it starts to increasingly my human self starts to identify with my emerging Morontia soul entity. And I found that to be true. Very much with myself, is that it isn't a one-time experience of transferring my identity to my soul. I'll wake up in the morning and just be solidly into my soul mind and my soul self. And it grows. It seems to grow by itself. That consciousness, after death and following the mansion world resurrection, the human personality is completely identified with the Morontia self. The soul is thus the embryo of the future Morontia vehicle of personality identity. So not the self is also this personality, and it's the personality identity that they want us to transfer to the soul. And so each of us has a personality that's unique in the universe, never was, never will be, again, the pattern of personality that you have now. Your miracle is that, your creation is that you can choose to be that identity, that soul, that combination of you and your adjuster when you fuse. But actually, I've talked a lot with our soul group. Two of the people here are in the soul group, and we talk a lot about that, like momentary fusions, these little fusions when we actually know we're doing the will of God. And it's usually when we look at our past that we see that. So here's a number of affirmations we can create from these up here. And so follow along with me and just repeat it in your mind. If you want to do it out loud, it's fine too. I, with my material mind, delegate authority freely and willingly to my supermaterial Morontia soul to make final decisions until my death. This is the way I make up the affirmation. You will make up your own, just go back into there and put the words together to make it up in your own words so your mind comprehends it, so you own it. What affirmations do is they make us own what the Urantia writers are telling us to do. Or what the Urantia writers are telling us what we can do. So the other affirmation is, I enable my soul to reinforce the material decisions of my material mind. That's that precious free will they're talking about. You literally have to do it, right? With the collaboration of my adjuster, my sub-spiritual soul can function above the Morontia level. Okay, those are some of the first, some of the first quotes that triggered me into this consciousness, soul consciousness. And I'm always using my soul mind. Now I find I'm using it almost all day long. I'm just always talking with the adjuster and always asking him. Any conversation you're having or consciousness you're having with the adjuster, that's your soul operating, whether you call it that or not. But they want us to consciously make that choice. So here's another one, and then we're going to make another affirmation and take a moment to do it quietly by ourselves. Here's the quote: "But selfhood of survival value, selfhood that can transcend the experience of death is only evolved by establishing a potential transfer of the seed of identity to the evolving personality from the transient life vehicle, the material body, to the more enduring and immortal nature of the Morontia soul, and on beyond to those levels wherein the soul becomes infused with and eventually attains the status of personality reality, which is complete fusion after the Morontia world experience." But they're saying, do it now. For some reason, the earth has been chosen, because I think it's Christ's planet. Christ Michael's appearance as Jesus, his planet of all of the local universe, that he came and he's seeing what kind of problems we're having. And I think the Urantia book saying, you want to solve those problems? You want to transfer to a higher reality? Follow these. So here's the affirmation, and let's take a moment now to do it together. I'll leave this up on the screen, and I would like you to meditate for just a moment or so, maybe a minute or so, and use that and just say this to yourself. I transfer the seed of my identity, of my evolving personality, to the enduring and immortal nature of my Morontia soul. Okay, I'll just close your eyes and do that for yourself, please. Okay. Let's come back now and take a look at this other quote. I mean, there are so many quotes in the book that tell us to do this. I was finding more and more and more as I went on in this performance of transferring my identity. Human beings possess identity only in the material sense, but mortal personality, through its own choosing, possesses the power of transferring its seed of identity from the passing material intellect system to the higher Morontia soul system, which, in association with the thought adjuster, is created as a new vehicle for personality manifestation. I have both of these quotes because this is a quote saying we want to transfer our identity to our material intellectual system. This is the quote that says transfer the identity evolving personally from the material body. So one is the body and one is, they're covering both bases here with these two quotes. And that's a really interesting distinction. So I want to transfer my identity first. I transfer it to my Morontia soul. And now with this affirmation, and I'm using this affirmation, pretty soon your affirmations are new conversations with your thought adjuster. So take this one and read it for yourself. I'm going to read it out loud, but then I want you to read it and make that same affirmation for yourself. Because I use the word our, because I realize that my soul in reality is our soul. My adjuster lives in there with me. We both create it with every moral, spiritual decision I make, but we are both destined to live in it together. When you die and you wake up on the other side, you don't wake up until your adjuster comes back from paradise, from vacation. Anyways, when he comes back, you wake up. So that's your identity, really, is him. So here's the affirmation. My mortal will, my priceless personality power of decision choice, is resident in my material mind circuits. I choose to increasingly become identified with our emerging Morontia soul. My embryonic soul is now and in my future the vehicle of my personality identity. So quietly just read this to yourself for a moment. And
Patrick, could you make it bigger on the screen, please, by
Bigger?
sliding the bottom over a little bit? Make it to as big as you can.
Oh.
Not quite that big, but a little bigger maybe. Thank you.
Sure, I'll just move this out of the range. There. Okay. Let's go on. Here is one of my first charts that I've made illustrating what we're talking about. Here's my divine self, the adjuster. Here's my human self. And this is, and where they overlap is the soul. And they say in the book many times that the adjuster is the core of your soul. So I put this little symbol of the thought adjuster in the middle of my soul. And the soul has a soul mind. On my divine side, and this is me now, you actually are your soul. You actually are this combination. You don't have to wait till you die and wake up in your soul. It's happening now. So the divine part of me is the adjuster with his pre-mind, and he's got a paradise plan. He has a paradise mind. He's from paradise. So he has a paradise plan approved by not only one thought adjuster, but many competed to be you. And many of them, they did. There was a whole, and so the personalized adjusters, I think that's plural too in the book, choose the best plan from the best adjuster to be you. So you have his paradise mind, access to it. You have Michael's spirit of truth in your heart, which is his paradise mind, because Jesus said, if your human mind is functioning well, then you can always use mine. So how many Urantians do you know that are using Michael's mind? Literally, I mean, let's do it. Let's all do it. And then we have the Holy Spirit, Holy Mother Spirit's paradise mind. We have 1, 2, 3 paradise minds in ours that we can ask for at any time. And that's moving, you got to move to your super conscious. I mean, even Jung knew that one. So here's the soul mind, the dual mind in the universe under the dominance of one will. Now here's my human side. My human side has the personality. My adjuster wants access to that personality. But with my free will choice, I have to give God, my thought adjuster, access to my personality so he can manifest his divine plan for me. Otherwise, he won't move. He's got to have our free will say, yes, I want to do your paradise plan. What have you got in store for me today? We have to do that. We have to do that with our will. It's really imperative. But and it's all based on here's personality with my precious powers of choice that I have. The human has that. The adjuster is pre-personal. It does not have personality, but it has all of the deity aspects of God. So what have I got? I've got 7 adjutant mind spirits. I've got ego, conscious, subconscious, unconscious, and superconscious, which I forgot to put in there. But I have 7 trillion cells that are working by themselves. And I'm 85% bacteria. That means I'm 15% of me is making this choice. Can you believe that? When I heard that I was 85% bacteria, I almost fell off my chair. That's how incredibly we're created. And I have the heart mind, which is Jesus's mind too, to access. All of this is encompassed by the personality circuit of the Father, because I have a piece of the creator of the universe's personality. I have 2 incredibly divine aspects of God, personality and the adjuster. That's an incredible distinction. I have the personality of the Father, creator, and I have the adjuster. And in the beginning of the adjuster section, it's interesting because they say the adjuster is a creature because it was created by the Father and sent to you. That's quite a powerful, powerful group of what I call myself. That's what the Urantia book's trying to elevate us in terms of self-consciousness of what we really truly are. Here's another chart of the same thing. Here's the Morontia mind of the Holy Spirit, 7 adjutants, all those. And as I go along in life, I see that I haven't been using these consciously. And I'll now call on my spirit of intuition and work with it for a week or so if I have to, or a month, and just say, I want to be more courageous today. So these are the mind circuits that I have of the creative spirit. And then this is Jesus's mind. He's the creator's son. Here's the creator's spirit, daughter, which is the Holy Spirit. And this is me. But look at the center of who I am. My automatons have paradise as their core. My automatons, the smallest particle of me, the center core of it is paradise. So I never really leave paradise, do I? How could I? My thought adjuster's sitting there with me. I'm looking out at imperfection. But if I identify with him and me together, I'm in paradise. So I have my free will choice, my creature mind, and the spirit of truth. And I have personality and will. This is so precious, this kind of consciousness of myself. I have the soul dual mind, I have super conscious, and I have the mind of the adjuster. So I've got, again, Christ mind, Holy Spirit mind, adjuster mind. All of these, they say, whatever decision I make has ramifications in paradise. Wow, talk about personal responsibility of making decisions. That's incredible. Whatever I choose from any level that I'm working at, it has repercussions in paradise. And here's that divine plan again. So I really encourage you to, when you're talking to your adjuster, to ask him to reveal that divine plan for you. Here's a picture that I did, a big painting of a woman. She's looking into a pond of water, which is really her other spiritual reality, which is infinity. Your personality is infinite in nature, bordering on absolute, they say, bordering on absolute. Why? Because it's a piece of the Father, the creator. You literally are a divine creator of paradise. So we transfer our identity to our soul in another way besides through thinking about it or thought or making those meditations. By drawing our soul with human images or abstract symbols, we can reinforce that decision to transfer our identity. If our adjuster speaks to us in symbols, which they say he always does, then we can also commune with him through our art symbols. They say until we reach the first circle of awareness, he speaks to us in symbols. So I'm going to talk back to him. As an artist, I said, well, if you can do it to me, I can do it to you. I'm going to draw to you. Our art symbols have incredibly powerful meanings. So we'll now start to, within a few minutes, draw our soul symbols. And then when you're finished with the drawing, I would like you to journal the meanings that come up to you when you're drawing. And then share these, we'll share these meanings verbally in language symbols, which are metaphors. Metaphors are something like, oh, this is a rainbow. I feel like a rainbow. And then you want to clarify those words because they're poetic. Most of the time when people start writing about what their images and art symbols are, they talk about it in metaphors. So behavioral language means, oh, I feel like a beautiful rainbow. So what is a rainbow to me? What are the colors of the rainbow? And each one of those colors is probably a specific part of my nature. Like blue is my calmness, red is my energy, and that kind of thing. So you're getting down to a behavioral language. I do that in my workshops a lot. And that's where I discovered this process. So creating affirmations to our adjusters. Then once we have this language, then I'll use it to create more affirmations to my adjuster, which means it's a new language to my adjuster, which I have found happens. It's a new language. So here's a picture of someone drawing their body. We usually, in the workshops, we trace their body, and then we put into their body where their soul is, what the image is, and we put into their body 2 emotions, positive and negative, and how it flows, how those emotions flow through your body. That's usually a 2-day workshop, sacred art workshop. Here's a sample of representational image. Here's a representation of a person, a doorway, and so on. The doorway is our personality. This is a person whose consciousness is their soul, and they're walking through the doorway of personality into the kingdom of heaven. Now that's a representational image. Here's the abstract art symbols. So you can do the same thing. When you draw a symbol of your soul, it can just be lines and color. You know, the red is my divine energy. The yellow is the Holy Mother Spirit, or whatever you write when you journal it, right? So you can journal your abstract art symbols too, as well as that. So you don't have to be able, like Diane said, you don't have to be able to draw. You can just splash color on a paper. And as a matter of fact, I did that earlier. Can you see me still?
Yes.
Can you can? Okay. This is a picture I did. I said, well, I better be ready. Whoa. Oh, can I do it? Can I show it? Yeah. What's not happening? Oh, the camera won't pick it up.
Get in front of it. Or behind it.
Oh, there.
Yeah, put it right in front of your face.
Oh, in front of my face. It goes blank.
That
Oh,
doesn't
well.
work.
Anyways, it's like it's a huge, I just splashed colors very much like this, and it's like a fireball meteor coming through the earth. And I was really surprised this morning when I did it. This is the last explanation slide before we start to draw. I just want to say that this is one of the most important quotes, I think, in the entire book, because it's like a paragraph, less than a paragraph long, but it takes weeks and months, and it's something you do all the time. During the work of transferring our identity to our soul, our adjuster can help with our mental distractions. Now, we all have mental distractions. And the quote is, by and with the consent of your will. Look at that. They're asking us to do this, right? The adjuster has the power to subject, and I looked up the word subject. It means to lay open to the creature trends of the material mind to the transforming actions of the motivations and purposes of the emerging Morontia soul. Look at these 3 words: actions, motivations, purposes. Okay. When you break, and we have hundreds, if not thousands, of creature trends in our minds: impatience, intolerance, whatever, abandonment, sadness, sorrow, all those kind of things. So here's the affirmation: by and with the consent of my will, I give you, my beloved adjuster, the power to subject, to hold the creature trends of my material mind to the transforming actions, how many? Of the motivations, many, and purposes, many, of our emerging Morontia soul. That's such an important thing. Just study that, after this presentation, and fill these in. I'll give you an example. Diane, what's a motivation of your soul consciousness? What motivates you to think from your soul, to live from your soul?
There's this place of peace that I have been blessed with from time to time. And that place of peace is a much desired place to live in permanently.
Okay, so that's a motivation, to live permanently in a place of peace, right?
Right.
And that brings you to your soul consciousness. It motivates you.
It's
right?
Clarity.
So peace and clarity. And you could have more motivations, but it's up to you to think about them, right? Okay, purposes. What, Mark, would be your purpose for living from your soul?
A purpose for living with my soul? What's that?
From your soul, living as your soul. What would be why would you want to live from your soul? That's what the purpose is.
To be good.
Okay, goodness.
Goodness.
My purpose is if I live from my soul, I'm going to have goodness, or I'm going to be good. Is there another purpose you can think of?
Just to function at my utmost.
Okay, to goodness and function. That's great. And be able to I function better from my soul, right? Okay, what would an action be? Look at this, how complex this sentence is, how they're making us think. And that's what the whole Urantia book is doing, really, is just prodding our minds, saying you must think this way if you're going to advance spiritually. So the transforming actions, what's an action from the motivation that Diane had? What would be an action?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, to master the art of complete relaxation, which is the doorway to move into that place
Right
of
on.
clarity.
Right on. Okay, so that's an action you would take. Look how complex that is. It has to be an action from the motivation of clarity, right? You said. So, and peace. So that's, but look at that plural. They want you to have more than one action, much more than one action, right? So it's up to you. So I give you this quote because it's my absolute favorite in the book, because it really motivates you to think hard about living from your soul and what are the benefits and what's motivating you. Once you know that, you can do that more often. Once you bring that to your consciousness, what your motivation is. Yeah. Once you know these things, it's so much easier and so much more powerful to live from your soul. Okay, so now's the time we're going to create your soul identity painting and drawing. I hope you brought a pencil or colored pencils or something at least. So I'm going to do this drawing. It's really important because my soul is my relationship with my adjuster. That's what the kingdom of heaven is too. So my soul is me and my adjuster operating together in the world. So I'm going to create this drawing together with him. My intention is to do God's will right now. And this drawing will illuminate and reinforce your transfer identity to your soul. So colors and shapes are good with lines. If you're not sure what to draw, just let it happen. Pay attention to your thoughts because you can journal them afterwards, and just take up your materials and start creating your image right now. Yeah. Okay, and then come back in 10 minutes. We'll come back in 10 minutes and start to share them.
Pat, are we supposed to start with some sort of a symbol, a circle, 2 circles, the way you did it, or?
Well, that's the way I did. And if you want, originally I was going to do that, but I think I was talking to you and we were saying keep it really simple. So no, you let whatever comes out. But if you like that symbol of 2 circles, go ahead and do it. Put in it whatever you want, because I've done that many times. Right?
Okay.
Many with a double circle. Yeah.
You know, I study with Chris Halverson quite a bit, and he has he uses the hourglass analogy, the upper part of the hourglass being the superconscious realm and the lower part being the adjutant part, and the neck of the hourglass being the area of the 7th adjutant, the connection between the upper and the lower. I think I might start with something like that.
Like wisdom and worship. Yeah. Okay, cool. Really
That
good.
sounds good. I like
Excellent.
that idea.
So I'll time it and I'll come back on in 10 minutes. It's 4 o'clock, almost 4:20. So about 4:30, we'll come back on. And don't forget to journal it after you think you're finished. And by the way, keep journaling it tomorrow and the next day and the next day, because more meanings will come up for you on your drawings.
which chicken you want to poke it, and it's done when the juices run clear. Well, this is fun. I haven't had my colored pencils out for a while.
Me too.
That's true. It's a lot of fun. You're right. Exactly. I forgot to mention that. My mother always said, if you're going to have workshops and teach people, make sure you have fun.
Yeah.
Great wisdom.
Hey, Patrick, could you go back up to the slide that has the affirmation that I think it's the one slide, one up from where you were, that has what we're supposed to do with the affirmation.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that one. Let's see.
No.
That's not the one I was looking at. I was looking for the one. Well, maybe number 5. Go up to number 5 and see if that's it. Okay, that's good. Thanks.
That's it?
Not exactly, but that'll work. Thank you.
This one?
Yes, that one.
Okay.
That's the one I was looking for. Thank you.
All right. We have about 4 minutes left to journal it, and you may want to keep on drawing more to it later on. Like this is just your first impulse of an image. And I'll tell you, I draw this many times. Every time I do a workshop, I do another drawing. It's amazing. I get more information from my right hemisphere, literally. You're engaging your full brain in this exercise. So since we're two brain creatures, we might as well use them both. And then you use your corpus callosum to mix the two from your left, which is the language part of your mind. And the language part of your right hemisphere is poetry and metaphor. That's why when you're usually journaling your work, it comes out poetically. The meanings do. And I hung my drawing up where I could see it. And this morning I woke up, I saw it completely differently. So surprise yourself with your drawing. This is your soul drawing. And I also encourage you to do one representational drawing and one abstract. The abstract drawing will blow your mind if you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I would imagine the abstract is what engages that side of your brain that we don't normally use so much.
Right, exactly.
And Patrick, you probably want to stop screen share when people show their artwork.
Exactly, I can do that. What I want to leave up is just my Gmail, where you can, if we don't have chance to do yours today, you can always send it to me at my Gmail and we can converse, because I'm really always curious to know how you did it, what effect it had on you, whether you felt that transfer happening, and so on. So for sure, so just send it to my Gmail. And if you want to do a workshop in your particular Urantia group, let me know. We could probably do it by Zoom, and it'd be a day or two, because to really get deep into this, you need a little bit more time. Okay, so I'm going to stop screen sharing. Here we go. About 2 more minutes or 3 minutes. If you want to take a break, go ahead and come back. If you feel like taking a bit of a break, getting a glass of water or something. Oh, that's why. Got it. Okay. Oh, we're all here. Everybody ready?
Mhm.
Even if you're not, you can continue drawing and keep on journaling while we're talking, because somebody's ideas may trigger one for you too. I'll give you a little sample of, I finally figured out why you can't have a background if you're trying to show your art or show something two-dimensional, because it won't show up. So I took the background off. Now you can see my messy apartment. But anyways, now I can show you my art. And this is what I did earlier this morning.
Oh, I like that.
It's like, this is more symbolic. This is more representational. It's a bird flying. It's a bird flying above the ocean. And I'm on the edge of the ocean. I often do that drawing of a bird flying at the edge of the ocean, where the mountains come down into the ocean like Vancouver. And in the little corner down there is a little house. You see it? That's my house. Right on the shore. And there's the part of it that shows the ocean in the background with more mountains. So it's like, okay, so then I sat down, I journaled it a bit, and it's like, the bird is flying away from me. And I thought, oh, my soul is flying away from me. Oh no, because I always have this struggle with my human self. And when I'm really human and doing all my bad habits, I always think, oh, I've lost it. I'm never going to get back to my soul. So I have to sit down and meditate with God for like an hour or so and say, bring me back, bring me back. So the soul, my soul has wings is what it's showing me. It's flying away, but it's flying towards the mountains, where the mountains meet the ocean. And the ocean is like spiritual consciousness. The ocean's very deep, and it's like goes forever, and you can't see the end of it. So that ocean has always been a symbol of depth, of greatness, and especially the depth of the ocean, and other beings live in it, and so on. So I'm also weightless. The bird has a feeling of weightlessness. So my soul has little weight, and I feel very free in my soul. And I'm heading towards that house down there. And also my soul has an overview, because that bird flying is way up in the air. It's like an eagle. It can see forever. And I'm pretty close to the shore, which means I'm still close to my human self. That shoreline is really a symbol of human self. And the mountains are endless. They keep on, there's more and more mountains in back of them. See, they just keep going. The mountains just keep going. And so it's like life, it's discovery. It's some endless discovery. And so I ended it by saying, fly, baby bird soul, fly. Time to fly. And I'm like at the edge of becoming super soul conscious. I mean, really, really down there, because I know that I'll be living with my adjuster permanently conscious here at this level of human life. I mean, I think we're going to have our human foibles until we die, but the dominance of who I am is going to be my soul self. I'm in the air. God is the air. God is the wind under my wings. So that's what I wrote. So I'm in my, because you have two hemispheres to write from too. Your left hemisphere is more like writing a novel. No, Esther's writing a novel. She's in her imagination all the time. Your right hemisphere is your imagination, your metaphor, your poetry. Your left hemisphere is more descriptive, analytical language. So when I keep people journaling right after they draw, I want them to journal from that imaginative side of their mind, which is right from your imagination. Okay, this was the drawing that I did because I wanted to do two. I wanted to show you both. This is that meteor drawing, and I just splashed colors, and it was just like, whoa, that's the energy of my soul. Just blew me away because I can feel it. But look at that. I woke up this morning, look at that face. I didn't see that until this morning. There's the, come on, there's the eyes right there. And there's the nose right there. See it?
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
woke up this morning and looked at the drawing and went, oh my God, that's me. It's my face or a face. So it's like I've got that, my soul has that kind of meteoric energy. And it's coming. It's like dropping on the earth. It's coming to me. I just get that powerful feeling. So let's see your drawings now. Who wants to start?
Nobody.
We're
I don't
very
know.
shy.
Let's see. Can you see that?
Yeah. Beautiful.
That's my left brain, I guess.
No, it's great. Symbols. Okay.
Yeah,
well-
you know, it's got the triangle and the square, a mathematician's mind, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's the right brain one.
Oh, good for you. You did both.
The
Cool.
TA bled through, I noticed a little. Let's see if I can get that up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I was thinking of a sort of a fountain with love coming out of it.
Oh,
As you know, the material mind and the soul and the personality. So yeah, I guess this is, I was a little limited in my colors.
oh, that's okay. Doesn't matter. Why did you choose green? What does that mean?
It only means that I had a green pencil and I had a red ink and I had a black pencil and that's it. I was limited to 3 colors here. I guess I wasn't ready for this adventure as much as I could have been.
No, that's okay. Why red? What would red mean to you for your thought adjuster?
Well, again, I had only those colors, and red is, you know, an exciting and a big color. So it's the most important color in the picture.
Right. I get it. Exciting and big, you said. That's a nice description of a thought adjuster.
Yeah. All right. Next.
How many of us think of our adjuster as exciting? And I'm beginning to. I mean, because I've got 2 grandchildren, right? 5 and 3, and all they do is play. And I'm going, of course, the father wants us to play. He wants to play with us. He wants to wrestle with us and tickle us and make us laugh and teach us all kinds of. That's pretty exciting. A relationship. Go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say, if you put the view on the speaker, then it'll be bigger, I guess, for you to
Right.
show it
Good
up.
idea. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. So, but you do have to speak in order for you to take the you know, the control of the because it'll go to whoever's speaking. So I guess,
Right.
yeah, you can see that a lot better than before, right?
You can see it fine. We can see it fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, who else would like to go? And show and tell. Show and tell your soul. Who is it?
I'll show something, but I was astonished that you picked out that quote. That's the quote from one of our readings at Mark's house. And mine says, by the will and consent of my will, by and with the consent of my will, I give you, my adjuster, the power to subject my mind's creature trends to the motivation and purposes of my soul. And I wrote it and put it by my bed. And every night before I go to bed, I read this quote so that maybe they can do something with me while I'm sleeping. But here was the, I only have office supplies here. So I had a highlighter
Right.
and a 4-color pen and one of these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so I made myself the red side, and my adjuster is the blue squiggly side, and we meet in the middle, and our squigglies meet. And there's got to be, there's something more. So when we meet, it should be golden. So I made the middle golden, and I thought, well, the adjuster's always golden, so I made him golden too. But this is not finished. There's some dynamic that's happening, and I haven't quite figured out how to depict that in art. I could put it on an Excel worksheet for you real well, but not drawing is a different thing. But it tied in so immediately. As soon as I started drawing, I thought of the quote that I read at Mark's study group, and it was impacted me so much I had to type it up and put it so you could read it, but I can read it for you. Just words. It's also important that you should know about the fact of God, the teachings, which we spend doing every week, is that you should increasingly grow in the ability to feel the presence of God. When you once begin to find God in your soul, presently you will begin to discover him in other men's souls, and eventually in all the creatures and creation of a mighty universe. And when you wanted us to journal, what came out was, as I discover more portals to the shared space with my TA, that middle section,
Right.
and spend more time there absorbing, I can allow my TA to build a more solid identity that stays with me in my daily earthly activities with other mortals. And that's why it's, when you begin to find God in your soul, presently you'll begin to discover him in other men's souls, and eventually in all the creatures and creations of a mighty universe. So this exercise here has much more implications than would appear. But what's the mystery? I noticed the energy of my soul. What you were talking about was energy, and I hadn't thought about that. The energy that I have in my soul that drives me to that shared space. What would bring a boost to that energy and drive energy to seek further and deeper for that space, so that it occupies more and more, and I'm by myself less and less.
Sweet friends, I'm getting the batteries going low, so I'm going to sign off and say goodnight. Thank you so much, Patrick. That was really interesting and lovely. And I'll just show you real quick. Mine was, well, it's too dark in here, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It was really fun, you guys. Mwah, I love y'all.
Love you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Okay, bye, you
Bye,
guys.
Andrea.
Bye.
Nap.
I wanted to say that, Patrick, that I was very impressed by your interpretation of those passages in depth. I thought that you illuminated them and in a way that I think we would be, I would want to go back and read those again afterward, because those words sometimes go by, they sound good, but you brought them a little more to life.
Exactly. Well, that's what I found really in talking to people about whether they had done that, because Jesus asked us to do it, and so did the book. They're always telling us to do it in many different ways. They keep saying, transfer that identity, you know, because why should we live on the earth only thinking of ourselves? Because we get in so much trouble if we think we're only trapped in our human identity, both mentally and physically. I mean, I'm 80 and everything hurts. All my bones, you know, they don't work as well. And I'm not going to identify with that. I'm going to identify with my bird flying weightless soul for sure. Oh, I like, Diane, what you said. Well, one thing you want to do when you hit a description in your journaling, like squiggly, put down squiggly and then say, what does squiggly mean, right? In what does it really mean? What are some other terms for squiggly? Because you said, he's squiggly, you got your squigglies, you put your two squigglies together. You hear how that's a metaphor? A metaphor is a word that you use to mean lots of other things, right? It's like a poetry. So squiggly means what to you in the first shot? What does it mean?
It means the sharp edges are raveling.
Sharp edges are unraveling?
They're unraveling so that there's less clarity of a distinct Diane and more of a blending with the identity of the thought adjuster.
Now that I can understand rather than squiggly, right? But squiggly means a lot more. So what I do when I hit a word like that, and it just those words are jumping out of your subconscious or unconscious, and they have lots of meaning, lots of levels of meaning. So keep working on your squigglies, and it'll show you behavioral language, which is like, wow, this is incredible stuff, right? So sharp edges is another thing. It's another metaphor. I understand sharp edge. I'm going to touch it, I'll get cut or something like that. But so what does the other metaphor, sharp edges, mean? You can keep breaking your metaphors down until you get to a really, really gut language, right? So keep trying and moving down that level as you're explaining it. Who else wants to show their work? Okay, Esther.
Yeah.
Okay, this is really fast, but it represents this is a reoccurring symbol for me, and the arrow coming down for me represents consciousness, and this coming up represents energy, which are the two main components of reality: consciousness and energy. And the rainbows just, for me, represent the adjutants. The thought adjuster comes to the adjutant of wisdom, as you were saying when we were about 5. And that is the home, that is the center that grows. And so as I become more conscious, my adjuster reaches down lower and lower. And I mean, there's more of a connection to this lower part, so that I'm more directionized by spirit rather than just by emotional impulses. So I have these two symbols here. One's a heart, you can't see it very well, and the other is a flame. The heart represents my openness to love, because God is love, and in order to experience the connection of fellowship, I need to be open to the fact that God is in each one of us. And so if I just let go of my fear and unclench, that's the word that's been coming to me a lot lately, is unclenching, so that I'm more more soft, more willing to be vulnerable and not so worried about being imperfect. Because, you know, I have this worry in the back of my mind, you know, this drive, this crown, this lure forward into perfection, you know, to be perfect. And the reality is I'm not, and I just need to be more aware of the fact that this is a learning process. So the fire represents, in one sense, the heart is like learning through insight, and the fire is learning through pain, because we all have to go through the fire of life. But the fire also represents for me my energy, you know, my motivation, my you know, what's driving me to move forward and accomplish things. So
Really nice. Well done.
thank you.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Esther's writing a beautiful novel too right now, too. She's in the process. So when we meet, we're always talking about the creative process. And that's really powerful. Beautiful imagery, very powerful imagery too. It's a double triangle too.
Yeah.
Right? Sort of.
The eye represents the inner eye, my inner
The
eye.
inner eye.
I am, you know, my inner eye.
You know, that whole part you said about being human is really interesting, because I'm 80 now and I'm still human. I can't believe it. I thought I was going to be a soul and spirit and go right to heaven here. No way. I'm always fighting my human self. Those tendencies, my subconscious reactions are right there. I yelled at a woman in the grocery store the other day because I projected. She was criticizing me and I went, what did I just do? You know, she's a thought adjuster. But somehow my impatience got a hold of me. Anyway, so this acceptance of being human, I talked to a psychologist and she said, you're going to be ego-driven till you die. We just have to be more reflective and be able to control it a little bit better, socialize it, right?
Right.
So, and it's really hard, but God's got patience with me. I got to learn to have patience with me too.
Yeah.
Oh, anybody else who wants to do one or make a comment? Do anybody want to comment on anyone's work so far?
Come on, don't be bashful.
Yeah,
Stuart, okay.
I'll show mine. It's
Okay, Susan and then Stuart. Yeah, for sure.
kind of kidding. Oh, let Stuart go first.
Okay, Stuart, go first. No, Stuart, you're gonna have a fight right now.
No, Suzanne, you go first because
All
I've
right.
got a little different approach to it. So definitely
Okay.
hear yours.
Oh, all right. I'll go first. Mine's very. Let's see if I can get it close.
Yeah, put it on
Let's see.
person. Put your view on person, everybody. It'll come up big.
Oh, I need to talk. Okay.
Yeah, I see it.
Or I should say,
Same
yeah,
thing, but it's
speaker view.
I'm speaker view, but it doesn't seem to be coming
So,
up.
each person has to do their own.
Oh, well, I'm on speaker, so
You don't need, it doesn't, it's not.
okay,
really
whatever.
important
Can
for
you can
it's
you
everybody
you
else.
can
we can see it. Go
you
ahead.
can
Put
see
it in
it?
front of you. Put it in front of your face.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Ballard, in front of the camera.
Is it? You got it? I can't
Yeah,
tell.
That's it.
Okay, so that's pretty basic. It's the journaling is I wholeheartedly, consciously, in co-partnership with you, thought adjuster, transfer up my identity to our soul. So it's got obviously the concentric circles, truth, beauty, and goodness, and then the arrow being the transfer, and then the heart being, into my heart. And I like the idea that it's our soul. I mean, sometimes you think, my soul, but it's really this co-partnership. And I put the wholehearted in there and the consciously part also, because our beautiful revelations say that it has to be wholehearted. Otherwise, you don't go anywhere. So that's something I remind myself frequently, that it's a wholehearted approach and to make it very, very conscious. And that's all.
All right, great.
Wonderful. And just, continue to journal more and to, I would say in a daily meditation, make that transfer. Because I thought after I did it a couple times, I was going to be there. But no, most of my life is led at the human level, really. I would say I'm soul conscious now more than 50%. And I know when I moved over that 50% line, but for sure, just continue. It's a continuous practice of making that transfer. It really is. Stuart, what do you got?
Yeah, may I share screen for one section, please, for one moment?
Yeah, you can share. Anybody can share when somebody else isn't.
Got you. Okay, so let me do it. Hopefully I'll wait for everybody to come on. It says I am now screen sharing, and it always takes a moment.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Now, this is something I did a long time ago because I'm a great fan of Bill Sadler Jr. and his 2 years, 1958 and 59 of lectures. And he gave a lecture on his concept of the human mind, the relationship of our personality, self-consciousness, which lives within our adjutant consciousness. And when we go to sleep at night, it's like turning off the light. That's the center of the world there, the conscious levels. But we have energies coming from below, the mechanical foundation of mind, and the subconscious lower 5 adjutants of animal mind that are constantly pushing their way for consideration. It's like a planetarium where you can go all around the world and put your searchlight where you want to focus on a particular topic of consciousness. But you can also get down-drifts of your super consciousness, the evolving and emerging soul mind. And of course, the North Pole of that whole energy is the thought adjuster, but we have the triune presence of the Mother's Holy Spirit and Michael's Spirit of Truth and the Father's thought adjuster fragment. So what I'm saying, this is a little bit of a cheat, but this was for me in my consciousness, working both sides of my brain, taking both the journalistic aspects, but also the artistical graphic to create in my mind as inspired by listening to Bill Sadler Jr. and his concept of the human mind. And I don't think I can ever do anything better than this. This to me was, I guess, a moment of inspiration. And as I look at it, I never intend to change this graphic because it really goes beyond what I can mechanically produce. I'm going to stop sharing. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Well, that was great. Thank you so much, Stuart.
Great.
Stuart's just great.
I've
Go
never
ahead.
seen that before.
Yeah, Stuart has his own. I'm in a mind section with him. He's carrying on with his first mind one, and we're getting together and going deeper into the mind aspects of the Urantia book, and it's just really powerful. And Stuart's coming up with many more of visual concepts of the mind. It's like fantastic. So if you want to join us or know more about it, just ask Stuart.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can put it in the chat if you want.
It's part of the Urantia University class that I gave in 6 classes, the course on the Urantia book's evolution of mind, starting from the origin of mind, a perfect mind of the infinite spirit, as it filters down through the 7 master spirits, and then into creation of the cosmic mind. And then from there, the middle 2 classes were on the existence of mind as we experience it inside our skulls. And the last 2 classes were on the destiny of mind. So we start origin of mind, existence of mind, as we are now currently working with, and then the destiny of mind in terms of, as you just said, Patrick, and emphasized perfectly, the future vehicle of our identity, of our Morontia mind. And what does that mean to get to there? So what we decided, there was a lot of suggested readings from the Urantia book that went from the origin to the existence to the destiny of mind. And we are now going through this step by step. And Patrick has been an incredible, energetic, creative contributor to these discussions. And Patrick, my brother and my friend, I so much appreciate it. It is a fascinating thing. I mean, the greatest thing about this revelation for me is it creates a whole new template of psychiatry as human scientists think they understand it. But the revelators go in and they give us the nitty gritty of the real experiential part of what we're dealing with as we continually evolve and transform our being to be no longer of this world. We could be in it, but we are no longer of it. We are of a new dimension, a kingdom of heaven, and a new thought of delegating, as you mentioned and pointed out, Patrick, delegating to our soul emerging consciousness. And to the degree, it changes everything, doesn't it?
That's beautiful, Stuart. Thank you.
I want
You
to show this one that is a painting that or a pastel that I did. And you see
look at that.
And well, you can see, well, it was sort of eaten up by earwigs. But my girlfriend framed this, and you can see a face there and even a nose, and also the cosmos out there looking through the eyes. So it's an inner outer kind of a idea.
That's beautiful. Really nice. Have you ever sat down and journaled it?
No, I guess not.
It doesn't matter when you journal it, just go ahead and try it. And because you're using another part of your mind to come up with more meanings. I love that idea. I love that. It's great.
Anyway.
Beautiful. Anyone else?
Betsy or Bob?
You're muted.
I was definitely of the let it happen.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And also we're very color limited. So I'm afraid that the colors don't mean a whole lot, except for that I only had 3. But the journaling that I did was, the lifting away the curtains.
Oh.
The things that are red are curtains. And and I use the sun as a symbol of lighting all of our co-creation and seeing clearly and having confidence in destiny. I was interested when you talked about destiny, Stuart, because I thought about that a little bit. And then the last thing with it was rising together, because these are kind of, these red dots were kind of the co-creation, all of our fellow people and also the rest of our, the life on Earth probably, but that we're all rising together.
Oh, that's nice. What is the curtains? That's a good metaphor. I mean, what are some of your curtains?
These were the curtains, and at first Bob had found these magic markers halfway through, but I just had a pen.
No, but I mean, what would a curtain be in your life?
Oh, the curtains are, I guess, just, probably being in our human mind and not fusing with our adjuster mind. Probably what we're not seeing either because we won't see it or because we can't see it.
Right. All of us are different, and all of us are going to conceive of our soul differently. And our human mind is going to try and put a definition on it, like the ego will. You gotta, that's my Polish. You've got to meditate. You've got to control your mind to the point where you're not doing that ego naming of things, right? And you will find that you'll wake up one morning in your soul, and it's going to be so much more than you could ever imagine, because you're calling on your adjuster to manifest his divine plan from paradise in your life, your intellectual and spiritual capacities. That you're asking him to show you what his plan was, not only his, but other adjusters' plan was for your life, right? So you have no idea, but you can always, whenever you're confronted with a problem, I always say to people, that's him. That's him bringing it to you. You're going to learn something spiritually. And they tell us that we look for problematic situations in the future. We don't run away from them, you know, so which is a really interesting concept. But he knows you've got something in you that knows the answer to everything. We got Bob. You got one too?
This is a ventola that I have from a long time
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
This is, hold that, open it, can't. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's a
That's
face.
Mother Spirit, do you see it? Does anyone ever remember Vince Ventola?
Oh, Vince,
but
yeah,
of course.
fantastic. He was one of the best Urantia artists. Yeah.
Yeah, this was,
Beautiful.
can you see the Mother Spirit in there?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought I'd share that. I don't want to show you mine. Minnie to the rescue.
Well, you can always send it to me later, you know, at my Gmail, and we'll talk about it if you want. Cheryl, what have you got?
I wasn't prepared either, like Phil. I was off in the left hemisphere, but I got just penciled, and I don't know if I can get it to show.
I don't think you'll be able, well, it'll be difficult with
Let me
the background.
Let me see if I can go to my ugly curtain.
Fine.
They don't need to see us.
Oh, I'm looking for the nun and it didn't show.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't with me either.
Okay.
While we're waiting, I just want to say, Betsy, those red dots that you have are
Right.
reflected in my mind of what you mentioned, Patrick, the mini or micro fusions, steps towards fusion that we get. Those are the aha moments where we are in attunement with the presence of our adjuster. And that's when I looked at your artistic portrayal there, those red dots there are your collective micro fusion moments of reaching up to your adjuster and your soul consciousness.
That's good. I see it that way too.
Yeah, some people, sometimes other people's intuition of your drawings is right on, or else it gives you more to look at in terms of your symbols. While we're
Well,
waiting.
Cheryl, tell us
Yeah.
about your drawing, Cheryl, if you can't show it to us.
Does it show?
No,
No,
we
not
just
yet.
see a picture of you.
I don't know why.
I think it was starting to show when you originally showed it. If you just hold it up by your face, I think we could see it.
Wait a minute. Oh, my video's off.
Yeah,
That's
there
why.
you go. There you go.
Oh, great.
Oh my.
Tell us about it.
Okay, I've got the I wrote the stuff below it. It's the divine and the human, and they come together in the concentric circles. And the human is the chaos, the crash and burn, and it comes together with the adjuster and the divine into peace and being like an eagle above the storm. And so it comes together in the soul as calm and love, especially unconditional love. And that it's I got that the insight was the soul receives the energies from both divine and human sides to create a new soul of eternal endurance and the I am source, where we came from and where we're headed back to.
That's
Nice.
always, yeah, go ahead.
Wonderful.
I'm always blown away when I meditate on what they're telling us that we're going to be. You know, like we're going all the way to paradise with our thought adjusters as this soul. Him and I are in that soul all the way to paradise and beyond paradise, back into the time and space evolutionary super universes, and then back here to meet up with Christ again, and he goes with us all the way to paradise. Wow. And then when we meet up with him back here after eons and trillions of years, with their years, then he's going to hold our hands and we're all going out to the outer space circles. Wow. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a neat meditation too. That's, someone mentioned something about the long range view. Oh my
Pretty
God.
long range.
Yeah, if you're having problems now, just think about that one.
I had in the past, I had drawn, I've been on this thing, Spirit has been leading me into the I amness
Oh, wow.
for the last couple years. And so they gave me, I did a thing like this, and I just really felt empowered by Spirit, and I started drawing, and it came out that it was a big circle, and I can't find the pictures of the drawing, but it was done in color. When I find it, Patrick, I'll send you the
Sure.
picture of it. But it's an outer circle that is like all of eternity, and then there's a big heart inside of that, and then inside of that is there's a triangle for the Trinity. And the heart, of course, is the heart of the Father, and everything has to come from unconditional love. And then there's the circles, there's 3 circles for each of the Trinity. And where they come together, there makes 3 little like leaflets. And that was spirit growth. They were seeds of spirit. And so it's just really, it really comes out. Each of the circles has a letter in it. The top one has the I, and the bottom 2 have the A and the M. And so it all comes together as the I am presence. And it shows how many, the various aspects of it and how it permeates everything throughout the entire universe.
I think there's somewhere in the Urantia book where it says, I think it's in the end of the book somewhere, where it says your job is to create an intimate relationship with your adjuster. Think of the word intimate,
Yeah.
That's like sitting on his lap when I meditate. I say, okay, you know the way. And I really feel sorry for people who don't have that spiritual consciousness. And I'm amazed at what they have given us in the Urantia book about who we are, who we're going to be, who we were in the past. When I think, and this is so unconceivable a notion, I'm a piece of God in paradise, and I see this little kid on 606 make a moral decision at 5, but I also see him being conceived, and I look on my chart and I look at his genetic background, and I say, I want to be him forever. And we identify with our mental, physical problems on this planet, and he's projecting way out of being us forever, one in our soul. It's like when we are born. Stuart, what?
Yeah, if I can just quickly add, you jumped upon something that touches my heart lately in my recent years. The intimacy with our thought adjuster. And why is it intimate? First of all, it is reciprocal. Jesus, from pure divinity, descended into humanity and so embraced his humanity in intimate affection that it became one in unity. So humanity, divinity, the unity now is present within Jesus. What does the thought adjuster gain by service to us? Something very important. The thought adjuster is before the Father becomes the Father of all personalities and the source and center of personality. And the only way that they can truly descend into the experience of personality is via intimate relationship with us. So what we do is, as much as we gain from the presence of the thought adjuster is completely embracing his responsibilities in order to become fused with us. And now, or as happened with Jesus, a personalized adjuster, which is very rare, but they can become fused with our personality. So we are forever one now in one united expression of personality and pre-personality deity presence of the fragment. That to me is powerful, but I love the idea that whatever God does, he does and he gains just as much as we gain from whatever he does out of his love.
Great, thank you very much. Who didn't go yet?
Wow.
Debbie?
That's
What is it?
amazing.
Yeah. You want to say something, Diana? Go ahead.
No, it just broadens and broadens and broadens the picture bigger and bigger. And it makes me think the last sentence of that quote that I had to print out and make it big on the refrigerator says, "But what chance does the Father have to appear as a God of supreme loyalties and divine ideals in the souls of men who give little or no time to thoughtful contemplation of such eternal realities? While the mind is not the seat of the spiritual nature, it is indeed the gateway thereto." That's from paper 155.
Yeah,
It's funny how I've got quotes all over the house too. Mark, Wayne, or Ron, do you have anything you want to share?
I'll share.
Wayne has to walk up to the camera.
Okay.
That's just the way our setup is.
See, I have all the paints and stuff because I enjoy doing art. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
Talk, Mark, so
That
it
is
will,
beautiful.
And
talk,
and I'm not that, well,
Wow.
myself and Ronnie have
Magnificent.
been studying the book for 10 years now. And,
wow.
you know, I just barely gather, I still feel very, extremely human. And the dark bits are the hesitancy and the fear. And I haven't been doing any artwork for a very long time, and I keep pushing myself to get back to it.
Please.
But anyways, I do know that in our study groups, we bounce a lot of ideas off of each other, and there's this great sense of communion, which I would call the yellow tones, and this wonderful, I guess it was just a sense of communion with our spirit, which would be the warmer purple and pink tones that we sort of feel together in our study group. A definite feeling of communion.
It's not showing up right now.
Oh, okay.
When he stops talking,
You're not talking loud enough or something.
Oh, I can see it fine.
Okay.
That's great.
So,
what is the dark stuff there,
well,
Wayne?
I would just call that uncertainty and ignorance. And I would call the blue parts the revelation that we received through reading the Urantia book together. And I would call the yellow parts the emotional feelings that I have that push me further towards the Urantia book, and the warmer feelings of the purple and the reds of that great communion feeling that we have together.
nice abstract there, I must say.
Yeah, but look, yeah, I've worked with people a lot, and sometimes I'll put a dot on the paper and then write for a half hour about what the dot means.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you unleash when you go to your symbolic part of the brain. It's amazing, just amazing. And you
I love that. Love that picture, Wayne. I'd like you to do one like that for me. That is so beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, that's great. Maybe he can send it to you
I can send it to you. You can have it.
On your email. What is your email? Do you want it?
We have it.
Oh, you got it? Okay, great.
I'll send it to her.
Well, you wouldn't want to part with that. That's too precious.
You may want to frame that.
Send it in a copy. Yeah. What you said about fear, right? You said fear and confusion or something like that. Those are two metaphors. So you want to put both of those metaphors down on paper and then write down each of the fears and each of the confusions or whatever your other definition was, because anytime you see a metaphor, you want to change that into a deeper meaning, a more powerful description of what it is on a behavioral level. Like, I feel this when this happens, that kind of thing. I feel sad, or I'm scared because I'm afraid I'm going to die, or whatever, or I'll lose someone, or I'll be abandoned. Those kinds of concepts, because they get down to the nitty gritty of the language from the metaphor. But the metaphor is important. As a matter of fact, if you put all your metaphors together, usually it comes up with a poem that's just beautiful. You can't get any other way. I mean, if I look at my descriptions, this is the poem. The bird's soul wings flying away meets the ocean, endless and deep. Weightless is my soul, and I have no weight, and I'm free. Home in the woods, heading there, overview of life. Close to the shore is life as a human. Great expanse, endless mountain, discovery. Fly, baby bird, fly.
Wow.
You hear the poetry?
Yeah.
And it gives you a sense of feeling of the drawing, right? Yeah. Let's see, who else? Wayne, you're there.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Oh, I see. You got a picture down there too. Okay. Debbie.
I didn't do it because I was monitoring the chat and babysitting my puppy, but I watched everybody else. And so I didn't actually draw, but I found it very enlightening, and I'm not good at drawing. So thank you very much. So I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing there.
Great. Try to abstract next time, anytime you do. And just continue to take drawings to keep going. I think we got everybody, right? Or anyone else?
Yeah, Patrick, I wanted to ask Stuart. Betsy had to step away from the camera. I wondered if Stuart could run what he said about the red dots one more time for Betsy. She's back.
Oh.
Yes, Betsy, I wanted to say that your red dots were critical. A good friend and spiritual sister of mine, Monica Kemp, came up with a very interesting idea regarding inspiration with our thought adjuster. And she referred to it as microfusion moments. Not complete fusion, but connections of being in communion and in connection with our adjuster that gives us moments that transcends even our soul consciousness, a touch of God. And when I looked at those dots, it immediately reminded me, in the way you portrayed yourself in that broad picture of the super consciousness and so on, that these were the moments where, that you experience in your life, that you treasure. It's hard to hold on to them, but you can always remember the joy that it brings you when you had those moments of being in attunement with your adjuster, the intimate attunement.
And we know because there's that quote in the book says, and we usually pass right over it, but when you look at that quote, it says, when you see eye to eye with your adjuster, oh my God, what a quote that is. That's fusion as far as I'm concerned. They say for that moment, you and he are one for that particular experience. Wow. What they're telling us in the Urantia book is, I can see through the eyes of God. And I can get a hit of his presence. But remember, your free will has to choose to allow him to work with your personality. He's here to fuse with that personality. He can't express his divine plan without you giving him permission to do so through your personality. That's pretty powerful. That's how powerful and how precious, they say, your human will is. You literally have to command God to allow him to use his personality, your personality, because you, the human, have the personality. which is the other part of God, right? So you're combining two parts of God, and you get little mini fusions when you do that. But that means you have to sit on your ego a lot. And that means you have to be super reflective when you're doing things and thinking about things or behaving all day long, literally, to say, whoa, was this coming from my human self or is this coming from my soul self, my divine self too? Am I being guided here? Normally, your emotions tell you whether you are or not, whether you're feeling good, comfortable, joyful, relaxed, happy, engaged. Esther just posted this thing on the chat, which is when you're of service. That's a key. That's a real key to it. And you could do that drawing. When am I of service spiritually in the world, in my world? So yeah, well, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate being able to do this with my adjuster, with all of your adjusters and your souls. And I'm looking forward to an eternal companionship party with all of you, all the way to paradise.
Amen.
All right, I think that's a good note to end this meeting. We have gone 25 minutes and everybody is still here except for Andrea. So I think that says something about the quality of this presentation.
Patrick, thank you so much.
Lovely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Great teacher too.
Thanks.
All right.
I gotta go. Good to see you all.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good luck with your novel.
Hang on, Esther. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye, bye,
Thank
you
you.
guys. Wayne, that's one heck of a piece of art.
Oh, thank you.
And
very
Stuart, I would love to know
Good night,
more
Ron.
about
Good night,
this
Mark.
work you're doing
Bye.
together.
Bye.